because we are not using our normal system because nothing decided to work this morning. Therefore, what we're doing right now is just going live old style with no connection, no slides or anything like that. And I hope that this works. At the moment, it looks like we get a couple of people viewing, so I think something must be working. Let me see what we've got here. Open in browser. Hopefully this will work. I'm not sure if we are actually live on both Facebook and YouTube yet. Let me double check and then we can see what's happening. We are here for a French live this morning and we're looking forward to this. Let me just mute that and make sure. Yes, we've definitely got people here. I should hopefully, hopefully, we've got people here and I can see you. I can't see you, don't worry. I can see that there are comments coming in, so all is good. This is a little bit different from normal. We normally have all our slides and everything on the screen with graphics and everything. This morning it's a little bit different. You've just got me and hopefully, if technology serves us correctly, we also should have Pierre-Benoît. Bonjour, monsieur.
Ouais, salut Marc, bonjour à tous. J'aime bien quand tu as dit old style, parce que vraiment je me sens à l'aise. C'est vraiment moi, quoi, c'est ça.
C'est moi aussi ce matin. Il faut le dire. So theoretically, you should see both of us, and you should also see the fact that we love green apples. a little bit surreal this morning. Monday mornings are always a great time to do live broadcasts because everything works perfectly. You know, we're fresh after the weekend. We're ready for any technical challenges that come up.
Yes, bring them on.
Normally we would have a timer up here telling us that we've got 5 minutes to go before the beginning of the lesson, and then we would have our timer for 20 minutes. We've got no timers, no graphics, nothing else this morning. It's all a little bit random.
C'est juste nous en fait, c'est ça.
Juste nous, oui, justement. Now we're getting some comments, so we've got some people watching, so hopefully everyone can see and hear us. Some people saying only sound on YouTube, but perhaps if you just refresh the screen you should get us on YouTube. But we do have Rachel joining us this morning. Bonjour Rachel.
Bonjour.
Who else do we have? Now,
Julia.
Yeah, so just double check, Pierre-Benoît, you can see the screen here. Yeah, you can.
I can, yeah. We've got Julia qui nous dit bonjour. Bonjour,
Parfait,
Julia.
Parfait. We've got Gladys saying bonjour. Deb's also here.
Yeah.
Rachel is saying, j'adore les pommes vertes aussi.
Ah oui, mais elle donne la réponse.
Janet is joining us from West Sussex. Bonjour, Janet. So let us know where you're watching from. As I say, this is not quite as slick as it normally would be, but it's good to know Wendy can see and hear us. Very good. I'm curious, Wendy, are you in Greenland or is that your name? I'm fascinated by Greenland. I'd love to go to Greenland. Okay, this morning, what are we doing, Pierre-Benoît?
Oh, well, basically, we're going to be doing a wee bit of translation challenge.
That's right. So we've got some phrases in English that we would like you to translate into French. And I think we're going to have to change that first one because we've revealed. Actually, no, it was just on there in English, I think. So we've not got the French version yet. So we have got some phrases for you to translate from English into French. And once we have gone through that process, we will check all of the grammar in there, the endings, the spelling, the accents, and so on. So basically, we're doing some translation from English into French, and you can do this by putting your answers into the chat. So we're looking forward to this. Now, we've chosen 5 sentences. I would say one probably is a little not easy, but it's for more beginners. And then we've got 2 or 3 that are more kind of intermediate, and then one really challenging one. So depending on what stage you're at with your learning, then you can don't worry too much about what you're getting right and what you're getting wrong and so on. The main thing is that you're trying to get a few bits and pieces in there, so a few words that you recognize or that you can translate into French.
Yeah.
So,
and the first one, Mark, is not easy. It's just a warm-up since it's a cold day in Scotland. So
it's very cold. Yeah, it's very cold.
It's a warm-up. Let's call it a warm-up.
I'm having a hot flush with all this technology not working this morning. So who else do we have? We've got Jennifer joining us from Melbourne. Jennifer, good morning. Well,
Salut.
Good evening. You're very welcome.
Jennifer.
We've got Kwame, living in Australia but from Barbados. Wendy's saying she's in New Milton but would love to go to Greenland. Moi aussi. What's Gladys saying?
Oui, intéressant parce que différent, c'est ça.
Gerardo is saying it's the first time I'm watching it from Ojinaga in Mexico. Wow, fantastic. Sandy is joining us from Hobart. Nous avons aussi Winston.
Cool.
Sandra.
Ah, excellent. C'est bien ça. Quelle chance.
Liz is joining us from Australia, and David's here from Israel. Fantastic. You're all very welcome. Okay, we are going to get started now. I said this was going to be old style in the sense that we don't have any graphics or anything like that we can use this morning because nothing decided to work. What we're going to do is literally type the things onto the screen. So you'll see the phrases that you're going to translate. We'll give you about 20 seconds to translate each phrase, and then we'll go through the answer with you. So let's start with our first phrase. No, that's not right. Let me see if I can get this. And our first phrase, as you may already know, is we love green apples. Okay, so this is what we'd like you to translate. We love green apples. Let's just enlarge that a little bit. Pop it down here. So we're going to give you 20 seconds or so. I don't even think I've got my timers here, have I? Let me see. I'll press this button. If we get a timer, all good. If we don't, not to worry. So let's try 20 seconds for We Love Green Apples and post your responses in the comments. No, there's no button. It didn't work. I'll put on the timer though. Okay, so what you are translating is we love green apples. Let's have a look at what some of you have said. We've got, I'm just trying to move this on the screen so I can see it. So David is saying, nous adorons des pommes vertes.
Très bien.
Interesting. Liz is going for the verb aimer. Nous aimons des pommes vertes. Let's see, Deepak is saying, on aime pommes vertes. Okay. Let's see. Julia is saying, nous adorons les pommes vertes.
Ouh, très bien, oui.
So lots of different answers. Excellent to see all of you trying this out. Pierre-Benoît, nous adorons des pommes vertes. Nous adorons les pommes vertes.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate our listeners because they all used nous adorons correctly. I mean, they had the ONS ending, so that was very, very good. When generally speaking, when you say j'adore, you use adorer, aimer, détester. You should use the article le, la, or les before the item. Okay, if not, it's like using the if you want rather than some.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very general. So you would say nous adorons les pommes vertes.
So I've put it on the screen, and obviously the capitals are just there to stress certain things. Nous adorons les pommes, with a plural ending, obviously, and verte agreeing with pomme. Pommes feminine.
Exactly.
Therefore,
feminine and plural.
Good.
Therefore, the E and the S. Okay. I thought that maybe some people might have used on adore les pommes vertes, kind of a spoken French, the on, replacing the more traditional oui. But no, everybody used nous adorons, so that was good.
So we could have also had on adore les pommes vertes
voilà.
as well. Okay, good stuff. Let's move on then to our second translation, and what we are going to do for this one, I'll guess I'm going to type this in again. So the train arrived 10 minutes late. So once again, 20 seconds to translate this one into French. The train arrived 10 minutes late. 20 seconds. Okay, so here we've got the train arrived 10 minutes late. I would suggest there's probably two main ways of saying this. We've got two correct versions here. First of all, the train. What is the train in French, Pierre-Benoît?
Le train.
Le train, of course, so it's masculine. The train arrived. So what kind
that
of
was the tricky bit because that's a perfect tense.
Yeah.
but we're using the verb to arrive is arriver in French. And arriver is using, it's an être verb, so it's using être as an auxiliary.
So we've got the être verb here, arriver. So le train est arrivé. And then 10 minutes late, we could see two ways.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
We have
Sorry,
10 minutes en retard. Yeah, it's cutting a wee bit, but we're there. We're still there. Okay, so 10 minutes en retard.
Right. So 10 minutes en retard. Or we could say the train arrived with 10 minutes of delay.
Yeah, avec 10 minutes de retard.
Yeah, so we've got two options. Le train est arrivé 10 minutes en retard. Or, so that's one. And then let's put our other one on the screen. Le train est arrivé avec 10 minutes de retard.
This is fantastic, Mark. This is really live. You've got to type
really
everything on the spot. I love it.
So two options there. Le train est arrivé 10 minutes en retard, or le train est arrivé avec 10 minutes de retard.
So we'll try the en retard and de retard if you put the 10 minutes de retard avec and then de.
Let's have a look at how our listeners have got on. We've got Rakesh saying le train est arrivé à 10 minutes de retard.
That's interesting. That
Quite.
Yeah, but it would be understood, so it's fantastic. It's just the A there. So.
Ryan saying le train est arrivé 10 minutes en retard. Très bien. I'm just looking to see if anyone used the avec. Don't think so. Can't see anyone here. One interesting thing, Luke has said le train est arrivé 10 minutes tard. Now, tard as an adjective can mean late, but it doesn't quite work here.
No, it doesn't work. I wouldn't say le train est arrivé tard. You could say that about a person. Okay, il est arrivé tard. He arrived late. But here, when it's the idea of a delay on something that has been arranged before, you had a time for this train and it went beyond it. I think here you need to say en retard.
Good. Okay. But thank you, Luke, because that gives us a chance.
That would be, for example, for a person. It would work for a person if the person was late. But if the person is late compared to a time, okay, you would say to that person, tu es en retard. Right. This is where there's a slight difference here.
Exactly.
You wouldn't say tu es tard.
Good. Okay, so we'll take that one off, and we'll just reuse this one for our
next
sentence.
Everybody did very well.
Our next sentence here is going again from English into French. We're just sticking to English into French this morning. Let me see what is our next one. Here we go. So the children, if I can spell correctly, will visit their grandmother tomorrow. So that's your phrase that we're going to translate here. The children will visit their grandmother tomorrow. Now, there's quite a lot going on here, so we need to think carefully about this one. The children will visit their grandmother tomorrow. Let's have 20 seconds to think about this one. Okay, the children will visit their grandmother tomorrow. Now, the first thing that we've got to think about is what or whom are they visiting?
Yeah, this is the issue here, okay? And are we talking about it just now, Mark, or you want to see some answers first?
What I think we'll do is talk about the whole answer, and then we'll have a look at how our listeners and viewers have got on.
Yes, to visit is visiter, but you can only use visiter, it's an ER verb, if you're visiting a place. Yeah. Something that's not animated, if you want, a place, a monument. And it's tricky when you want to say that you're visiting someone, because then you cannot use the verb visiter. Mm-hmm. You have to use, there are two ways. There's an easier way and a more difficult way. Let's start with the more difficult one. It's rendre visite à. It's like to give, to pay a visit to someone. If you think like that, then you won't forget the a. Pay a visit to someone. Pay visit to someone. Rendre visite à.
Okay, so we've got rendre visite à, to visit a person. You can say visiter, as Pierre-Benoît said, for a place. Nous avons visité le monument, or whatever. But the children will visit their grandmother tomorrow, so we need to think about putting rendre visite à into the future.
Yeah,
So
as well,
there
yeah.
will visit, and we've got rendre going into the future, which will become ils
Rendront.
rendront. Rendront, okay? So it's tricky, rendront, because if you've got two nasal sounds in there, you've got rendront. So your
Yeah,
mouth actually goes, ah, on, rendront.
ouais, ouais. Yeah, never thought about that. It's not an easy one, you're right.
So, les enfants rendront visite à leur grand-mère demain.
Très bien.
So let's put this on the screen. So this is option one. Les enfants rendront visite à leur grand-mère demain. Okay, there we have the full phrases. Yes, it
Très
just
bien.
fits.
Aucune faute, bravo Marc.
Merci.
20 sur 20 pour la dictée, pour l'instant. Pour l'instant.
Les enfants rendront visite à leur grand-mère demain. Now, there is another way of doing this. We couldn't use visiteront, we couldn't use visiter because it doesn't work here. But there's another way that we can get out of using rendre visite.
Yeah.
Because when you visit someone, what
Yeah,
do you do?
it's aller, and aller with the verb voir.
Yeah.
Okay? Like in English, going to see.
Exactly. So we could have les enfants.
Then obviously the future is a bit tricky because it's irregular, so we need to watch that.
Yep. So demain. So there we've got the future tense of aller, and it would be iront.
Très bien.
So let me just position this out the road here. So let me bring that in here. So les enfants iront voir leur grand-mère demain. So that's the other option there.
Another good sound here, you've got les enfants, you've got the en sound, and you've got the iront. So here, again, you've got the en and the on.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's good.
Très bien. Let's see what we had. So Stephen went for visiter, not quite right there. We need to think about rendre visite. Hodgepodge went for rendrons visite à sa grand-mère demain. Almost right.
Oh, that's good, yeah. Ça would be for one person, if it was one child visiting the granny, so the grandmother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see, who else do we have? Purnima said les enfants vont visiter son grand-mère demain. Almost getting there.
Yeah.
Stella, les enfants vont rendre visite à leur grand-mère. Okay, they're going to visit their grandmother. Julia got this right. Visiteront. Not quite with visiter. Remember, we need to rendre visite.
Yeah, visiter is really a monument or a town. Visiter Paris, visiter Los Angeles, visiter. Yeah.
Tout à fait, tout à fait. Okay, so lots of good answers there. Well done, everyone. Deepak's asking, can we use chez grand-mère as well?
Rendront visite chez grand-mère doesn't sound right, but iront chez grand-mère, if you used aller chez quelqu'un to go to the house, to someone's house, that's fine. Rendre visite chez doesn't, the elements here, the words don't go together.
Yeah. So when you're going visiting, you're going visiting for that purpose, but if you're going to the house, then that's when you can use chez.
Yeah. But rendre visite à. Yeah.
Très bien. Okay, let's move on to our next sentence.
Well done.
Hopefully this
Well
is
done,
all
everybody.
well. So let me take this one off, and we're going for our next sentence again. And their next sentence is this one. It's seafood makes me sick. Okay? It seems like quite a straightforward sentence.
It is
Be
not.
careful.
It isn't.
Be
It
careful.
isn't. No, it's not.
Right, let's have
Attention.
20 seconds, and you can think about this one.
Voilà.
Okay, seafood makes me sick. Now, there are quite a number of pièges in here. A few things that we've got to think about. First of all, sick as an adjective here, we might be wondering which word we're going to use in French for that, because in English what we're saying is seafood makes me sick as in the adjective sick. We're not saying it makes me be sick as in the verb to be sick.
Yeah.
So Pierre-Benoît, which adjective would you use there for sick?
I would use malade.
Malade. Okay. Now, if you make someone sick, it's actually a verb that we've already used in this session.
Yeah.
And it's really to render someone sick.
Yeah,
So
to,
we're talking
yeah,
about here.
to bring them from one state to another. This again of a rendition. It goes, and then that's it to that point when you're being sick. But I think generally speaking, if you think that faire plus make plus infinitive and make plus an adjective in French, you will have to use a different word for make. I think that's where you've got to think about.
Yep. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a moment. Let's now think about seafood, because seafood in French is...
Les fruits de mer, but I think it's very good here because as well it's the first word of the sentence, and in English you don't need an article. But remember, when you have a word in French, it's very unlikely. I mean, you will have to use an article before it.
Yeah, so we couldn't say fruits de mer, we have to say
No.
les fruits de mer.
Yeah,
And
so les
really
fruits de mer.
crucially here, we have to think about the fact that in English, seafood is a singular entity. But in French, it's plural. Les fruits de mer, literally the fruits of the sea. So that's going to have a role to play with our verb. So let's think about this. Okay, we've got les fruits de mer, and then we've said when it makes you an adjective, when it's make plus an adjective, as Pierre-Benoît said, we need to use rendre.
Yeah.
So les fruits de mer me rendent. Okay, so the plural form of rendre.
Because it's les fruits de mer, so therefore we need our ENT there.
So let me put this on the screen. Les fruits de mer me rendent malade.
Très bien.
There we go.
I think that was quite tricky, that. You had to put the article, you had to think about the infinitive that you're going to use. Was it going to be faire or rendre? Because it's an adjective, you're going to use rendre most of the time. I would say 98% of the time. And then obviously me before the verb.
Now, can I put this on the screen, Pierre-Benoît, and can you tell me what you think of this one?
Yes, that's fine, but it's a wee bit too descriptive. Maybe I've lived in Scotland for too long, and in French people tend to be direct with these kind of things. So you could say that, oh, ça me fait vomir. Yeah, you could say it, but I think it would be better to be to dump it down a wee bit and just say me rendre malade.
But my point here, in a sense, is the idea of rendre with an adjective and faire with an infinitive, with a verb.
That's it.
Okay?
That's it.
So
That's it.
Seafood makes me ill, me rend malade, but les fruits de mer me font vomir. So you would use faire with the infinitive. Again, maybe it's not.
And that's very good.
Nice.
Both sentences are very good. Just the second one is a bit strong, should I say.
A little bit too much information.
But well done, Marcus. Yeah, it's very good to show the difference between rendre plus adjective and faire plus an infinitive.
Okay, so let me have a look at what some of our listeners have said. Or I always say listeners, but I'm forgetting you're actually viewing us, but we're so used to talking about the podcast and your listeners there. Okay, Rakesh. Les fruits de mer me rendent malade, so we've got to think about...
That was very good. That was very good. Just a wee ENT there for les fruits de mer. Well done.
Jane didn't put in les, so we need to have les fruits de mer at the beginning. Gerardo has come up with an interesting... Le fuite de ma mère me fait malade.
Ah, le fuite, d'accord.
Maybe it's a typo.
I think so.
Let me see. Hodgepodge, les fruits de mer me rendent malade. Très bien.
Très bien. That was tricky. That was a tricky sentence.
One, yeah. Let me see what else. Somebody's still visiting their grandmother. Yondan's come up with a slightly different way of expressing it. Je suis malade avec les fruits de mer.
Ouais, je suis malade, je suis allergique aux fruits de mer, ou j'ai une réaction aux fruits de mer. Yeah, je suis malade avec les fruits de mer. It would be fine.
Yeah. The crucial thing is someone would understand you. If you said that, they would know
je suis malade avec les fruits de mer. I think the person might say, tu veux dire que les fruits de mer te rendent malade. Yeah. They might correct the person, but you would be understood. Indeed. Yeah, you would be understood. Je suis malade avec les fruits de mer.
Indeed. KJ is asking about me fait mal à l'estomac. It would be me font.
Ouais, me font mal à l'estomac. You don't say something me fait mal à l'estomac. You say something me rend malade. Or you would say j'ai mal à l'estomac parce que j'ai mangé des fruits de mer, if you want.
Très bien. OK. Paul's pointing out that the fruits de mer are superb. So yes, we're not against the fruits
Je
de
suis
mer
d'accord.
in any way,
Je
but
suis d'accord.
it's a great grammatical construction here that we can think about. Right, we've got one more sentence to do, and we hope that you're enjoying this today. Our final sentence is
Oof.
we're happy that she comes to see you at the weekend. Now, this is not we're happy that she's coming to see you this weekend. It's we're happy that she comes to see you at the weekend.
Yeah, every
Okay.
weekend, it's a regular thing.
So see how you got on with that one. This is a little bit trickier, definitely one of our more challenging ones. So
Yeah.
we'll give you 30 seconds for this one to think about it. Okay. Let's see how we go. Okay, we are happy that she comes to see you at the weekend. So, let's start with we're happy. What are we going to say for that?
Well, there are several ways of translating happy. You could have content. Okay, I think that's the main one I would use. Content. I have to be an S at the end because it's we. It's more than one person. You could use ravi. Okay,
Delighted.
and for delighted, yeah. Okay, could you say nous sommes heureux? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You could say that as well. So I've got three words that spring to mind there. Okay,
sommes
content, ravi, heureux.
Okay, so we're happy and that she comes to see you at the weekend. So we're passing judgment on this. We're indicating our describing how we're feeling because of something else happening.
Yeah.
So we're happy that she comes to see you at the weekend. We're going to have to do something to the comes. Normally, she comes to see you at the weekend would be elle vient vous voir or te voir, depending on who the you is here. And then at the weekend, Pierre-Benoît.
Yeah. So normally, yeah, it should be vient. Okay. And here, because we are happy that, and as you said, we're passing judgment, we're going to have to change this vient to a different tense, a different mode. Am I right, Mark?
Yep. So that's going to become the subjunctive.
Yeah, a subjunctive for everybody. Did you hear that? Everybody, subjunctive of venir, which would be
viennent.
Très bien.
So
Très
nous
bien.
sommes contents qu'elle vienne vous voir at
Vous
the
voir,
weekend.
And at the weekend, as we say, it's like saying at the weekend or every weekend. It's a regular thing. So we just in French, you just say le weekend.
Très bien. Nous sommes
And it's
contents.
something that actually is quite good to remember when you say on Mondays, in the morning, in the afternoon, at the weekends. We got on, in, at. In French, it's just the article le, la, le before either the day, the morning, the afternoon, or the weekend. And I think it's a great way of remembering it. Okay?
Tout à fait, tout à fait. Donc on a nous sommes contents with an S
Yeah.
qu'elle vienne, subjunctive, vous voir le weekend. Now, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, I have no idea what the subjunctive is, I've never looked at the subjunctive, that's absolutely fine, don't worry. The subjunctive is something that you come across at a certain point when you're learning French, is something that you can't really avoid for more complex and more sort of higher level French. But in this case, we were doing this to give you a little challenge. There are other ways of saying this. We could have different ways in which we could kind of convey the same information, but this would be the best way to say this.
Yeah. And remember as well, the vous implicates the fact that maybe we're talking about a plural person, like more than one person, but we could have had equally, we could have had te, pardon, qu'elle vienne te voir le weekend.
Tout à fait.
That'd been one person.
Très bien. Okay, so Delith came up with nous sommes contents. Just watch your the agreement of content. Qu'elle vienne vous voir le weekend. And
Super.
Your hyphen there with weekend. Lee said on est heureux qu'elle vous vienne voir à ce weekend. So the vous comes before your infinitive. Qu'elle vienne vous voir le weekend.
And on is fine as a spoken French to replace nous anyway. So that's very well done, Lee.
Très bien. We've got Jane is reusing the rendre visite. Not quite right here with the verb because you've used the infinitive. You would have to say, nous sommes contents qu'elle vous rende. So that's, again, a subjunctive form, R-E-N-D-E.
That's nice. That's nice. They're reusing the expression rendre visite. Well done.
Yep.
Impressed.
Now, Josefina is using si. We're happy if she comes to see you. Now, the ending's not quite right, but Pierre-Benoît, could we use si here? Nous sommes contents si elle
Nous
vient.
sommes contents si elle va te voir, si elle vient te voir, si elle va te voir le weekend. Yeah, you're passing judgment and you're saying that, that's happening most weekends or every weekend. That's good. Yeah, I accept that.
So you could get away with using si.
Yeah.
In that case, you don't use a subjunctive, but it doesn't quite convey the same meaning.
No.
But it certainly would be understood. It would be understood, no doubt. Très bien. Lots of excellent answers. And Hodgepodge has a reaction to the subjunctive. I like that. The thing about the subjunctive is it's once you get it, once you sort of work out when it's used, and then the formation of it is normally very straightforward. And yes, there are some irregular subjunctives, but you see them very often and you begin to really accept them. And the most important thing you can do for anything like this is always read as much as you can to experience it and to work it out.
And you will hear it a lot. I mean, if you are mingling with French people, when they speak, you will hear the subjunctive being used in the sentences. There's no doubt about that. So there's no point avoiding it since French people are using it.
Tout à fait. Okay, that is where we are going to finish off our translations. We've done 5 translation sentences and looked at a whole range of things. We've looked at rendre visite rather than visiter. We've looked at a subjunctive there in the last one. We've done some adjective agreements. We've thought about faire plus an infinitive, a verb, and rendre plus an adjective to make someone something. There's lots that we've covered in this lesson. What I'd love to know is what you've learned. Is there something that you didn't know before we started this lesson? There's something I didn't know before we started this lesson, and that is if this lesson would go ahead, because our technical things all completely stopped working. We've done it old style with some words on the screen, but you know what? It's worked, and hopefully you've still enjoyed it and still learned something, which is always the key thing. So let us know what you've learned. Next time, we are back next week. Normally we would do one every fortnight, but we are back next week for a special Christmas version. And hopefully all the technology will work, because that would really be helpful next week. We've got a festive text, a festive listening text for you next week. And so that will be next Monday, that's the 14th of December, at 3:30 p.m. UK time. So I know that many of you are joining us from Australia and New Zealand this morning. You'll be in your beds tucked up cosily, hopefully. Mind you, it might be very warm already. But do let us know what you thought of today. And next week we'll be back with another session for some listening practice next time. So do let us know what you've learned.
Please.
Gillian's just joined us saying, sorry to miss you, I'll go back over later today. Yep, no problem. You can always watch this back. Hodgepodge, thank you. I'm always learning something with you guys. Anne Karine is saying, merci, c'est très utile. Au revoir.
C'est gentil.
Jane, c'est incroyable, comme d'habitude. Merci beaucoup.
Even old style, that's good.
Lee, thinking on the spot is tricky, but a good challenge. And May is saying, merci. Oh, wrong one. Merci et à la prochaine. Très bien. Thank you once again. Apologies again for the slight difference in look and everything today. We weren't quite able to get everything working, but we will be back next time. Hopefully everything will work then. The next lesson, Paula, is the 14th of December at 3:30 p.m. UK time, and we will be looking forward to seeing you then. For now, merci beaucoup et à très bientôt. Au revoir.
Au revoir, à la prochaine.